Well, tonight we're making one of my favorite dishes, probably one of my signature dishes too, along with rack of lamb and my hamburgers, and that is steak au poivre, which is a pepper steak in a cream sauce. That's just fantastic. I first learned to cook this at a restaurant I worked at in Manhattan Beach. Gosh, I'll bet it's almost 35 years ago. The name of the restaurant is Cafe Pier. It's still there. So for Guy and Patricia, this is for you. So let me show you how this starts and what the prep looks like. So what we have here is I've got some pepper that I've taken peppercorns like this and crushed them with the side of the knife and made this pile of pepper. We've got grass-fed filet mignon over here, a little bit of garlic. I've got some butter here. This is butter from Ireland, from grass-fed cows. So the cows eat grass, so they make the butter from it. It's much healthier for us. So that's how we start this. And I have some heavy cream right here. That's going to go in later. So in a moment, I'm going to come back and show you as we're doing this what we're doing. Okay, so here we are. We're going to go to step one. You just saw we have the butter melting in the pan. So we're going to pan fry these steaks. I'm going to put in the real thick ones to start. I'll put in the thinner ones in just a second. Probably about 4 or 5 minutes at most each side of these. Most people don't realize that you can pan fry a steak like this in butter. The French do it all the time, and it's just so fantastic and flavorful. Okay, so I'm flipping these steaks over now. They've been in here about 4 or 5 minutes. A couple of them went in later, so I'm going to let them cook just a little bit longer. Notice how the butter is browning in here. It's okay to brown butter, and some recipes actually call for brown butter. You don't want to burn it, so this isn't over a super high flame, it's over a medium flame. But butter has a high smoke point, and it can tolerate browning without turning toxic, and it really adds to the flavor. So when trying to determine when the steak's ready to flip or pull off the flame when it's done right, you can poke it and feel it, but also notice how some of the blood is seeping up out of the top of it right here. That's a sign that this one's probably pretty close to being done. So pull this one out and set it aside. The problem with fillets is they're so tender that pushing on them isn't a good indication. You can still overcook them. And when I pull them off the fire here, they'll continue to cook sitting over here. Okay, so we've finished cooking the steaks, and they're sitting off to the side here, and that's fine, even if they get cooled off a little bit. Now I'm going to put the garlic in. And just stir that around in all these juices. See, that already just smells unbelievable, just from putting that in there. I'm going to put a tiny bit of sherry. I mean, hardly any. Some cooking sherry, dry sherry, just to add the flavor. Now, I don't want this to all dry up and go away, because it's going to make such a great part of the sauce here. So I'm going to go straight to the cream now and put in the heavy cream. And we're going to let this cook down for a bit, so we'll be back when it starts to thicken. Okay, so the cream sauce is starting to boil here, so this is when we want to turn it down. Really important to not overboil a cream sauce. You want it to just gently simmer, or it will do what's called, it'll break. The cream will literally break down, and you don't want that to happen, but you do want it to simmer and boil gently. So don't make that mistake. So the cream sauce is starting to thicken, and I wanted to show you that. See how it's getting that thick? So now I'm going to add the pepper, because this is a pepper sauce. Steak au poivre means steak with pepper. So lots of pepper. Lots of pepper. And I'm going to add a little bit more salt to the sauce, even though I salt and peppered the meat, which I forgot to mention that at the beginning, that the steaks all had salt and pepper on both sides. we will throw a few peppercorns themselves. Look at that. Now here's a tip. This is a $1 million tip here. So this pan over here has the steak sitting on it, has a lot of juice on it. So we're going to add this back to this sauce. That's going to make the flavor of the sauce that much better. So we're just going to cook it a few more minutes to let it thicken, and then we'll show you the final presentation. Okay, here we go. So look at the sauce, how thick it is, all that pepper. See how brown it is from the meat juice and the brown butter.